Guys, it's super windy today, and since I can't go fishing, I thought I'd talk about it since all I'm doing is thinking about it. I wanted to show you the offshore fishing tournament cheater that will not be disqualified. Actually helped me win the Mahi Championship. So, this is a regular monofilament. Yes, the hook is rusty. That's why I have them out, because I'm going to be changing them out. Regular old monofilament, I like about 8 feet of leader. But you can see around the whitewash that the leader's a little tough to see. So, not too shabby. The only problem is, you get something toothy, you could get cut off and lose your lure. So then you got wire. You could go to wire. But as you can tell, behind your boat in your whitewash, if a fish is beneath it and looking up, they're seeing that contrast dragging through the water. You get a toothy critter that actually commits, probably won't get cut off. But look how visible that is against white. And that's the single strand steel. This is the cheater I'm talking about right here. So if you look, you got a piece of steel from the hook to right there to an Albright, and then your monofilament. So this little piece right here to the knot is a whole lot better to me than this whole big old piece hanging out in front. So I'm going to show you how to rig this thing up the right way, and I'll tell you about that tournament while I'm doing it. Alright guys, so what you're going to need is proper hook. I'll get back to that in a second with the proper hook. You're going to need your single strand, whichever one you decide on weight wise. This is a number 8, and your fluorocarbon or mono leader. I like this nylon blend. It's soft and it seems to drag through the water better for me. I like it better. Just seems to me like it just doesn't hold the bubbles on the line like the others do. I like to use the 100-pound here, so that's up to you, but I like the 100-pound. I'm going to be doing this with a 150 just to make it easier for you to see, but this is the one I prefer here. Now, if you look right here, you can see where it says it's a 0.95 millimeter. So with that, I've got the sleeves that are a 1/0. So that line will slide right up into the thing. I already have one out over here on the side. Need a pair of needle nose pliers. I like to use that. You don't have to. And your crimps. Along with that, you're going to want a spring. It's a cone-looking twist-on spring. You can get them at the bait shop. I'll show you how that works shortly if you don't know. But back to the hooks. So you have a couple of different styles of eyes on these hooks. So this one is a needle eye, and that's the one I like for a wire, because with a regular eye where this twists back around right here, I don't like that because my thin wire can get caught down here and wind up breaking off. And don't you know, it's going to be on a big fish, not a little one. So those are pretty much and of course, duh, you're going to need your lure. Isn't that pretty? I don't know if you can see or not, but it's got some scarring on it. Battle tested. I do believe those were wahoo teeth. So let's go ahead and get on this. So I already pulled a piece of wire off just to try to make this a little bit quicker and easier. What I like to do is, here's the one I showed you with the cheater rig already on it. So it comes this far. And what I like to do there is I like to finalize it so that the wire is at least as long as the lure. So when the lure slides up out of the way to get your ballyhoo on, you got plenty of room to work back here without the skirt getting in the way. That one's pretty important. Trial and error. I figured that one out, so you don't have to. So what I'm going to do is, and if somebody knows, please let me know. I've not found it to make a difference for me, but you go in the eye of the hook, in that needle eye right there, and leave yourself enough to work with, but you want to leave plenty for the final product. But you just do your regular old haywire twist on here. Pull it around so that you have that loop right there. Like that, with just one little twist right down here at my fingers. I have to hold it so you can't really see it, but they go over top of each other. That's where I like to take my pliers right there. Okay. And then start twisting both of them. You can see they're aside from each other. You just twist those up. The smaller the wire, the more twist you want to do. This is a pretty good size wire on a number 8, so I'm not too awful worried about that. Okay. And then when you get, when you get to that point right here, after you get about 4 twists on it, is it not focusing here? After you get about 4 twists with both of them, then you want to take it and just spin it straight around. My fingers are all in the way because you kind of have to keep them close to keep everything straight and riding right tight to each other. And I'll show you the final product here in a second. Like that. And the same thing, you just do a couple of barrel wraps right around, just up from the haywire. All right, so make sure that's in there so you can see where they twist together down here, and then right here at the end, it's not really focusing very well, but it's just wrapped straight around right there. Now, this tag end piece right here, you see the hook's facing away from you, and that tag is sticking straight up. You want to wrap it just a little bit more right there so that you have it to where when the hook's facing down, that pin right here is sticking up. Okay? You want that sticking up. Then, that's the point where you put your spring on, the little cone spring, bait spring, is what they call it. You put that on, you just set it right on there, just set it there like that. Then you fiddle your way around right here until you get that coming out of the tip. Now, the reason this is critical on these Islander lures, the Island brand Islander lures, is if you look, this hole is not straight right in the middle. It's not straight in the tip. Okay, now I'll show you the reason for all that part of the trick in just a minute, but see how it's drilled offset. Right here is the center, and the hole's drilled up above it to your dark color, just like a fish. Darker on top and lighter on the bottom. All right, then take your monofilament, or in my case, the nylon blend here of Amoy High Catch. Take your leader, your steel leader with your lure on it, and you make a loop. And then you got to remember which way you go in. Top or bottom, I don't care which, it doesn't matter which. But whichever way you do, remember, and I always just come in the bottom. But you got to remember which way you do, because you're going to go out the same way, and I'll show you why that here shortly. But give yourself enough tag here, probably 16 inches, 18 inches, and then on 100-pound tests, I like to do 5 wraps. On 150 like this, I like to do 4. Then you go, since you came in this hole, you're going to go out that same hole. Then you're going to start pulling it up. And these ends always get wrapped around each other and looped crazy, and that's okay. You just straighten them out, start pulling it up. Okay, start pulling it up like this. I'm going to put a little moisture on it. I used some spit. And then I'm going to go up here away from me for a second to the cleat on the boat. Grab both ends. If you can see that or not, kind of out of the picture there, ain't it? Well, anyway, then you just pull it right down tight. And you can pull with a lot of force. You can pull with quite a bit of force. If it breaks, then you didn't do it right. If it doesn't, you're going to wind up with the tag end on your metal and a tag end on your mono. So you take your pliers, cut that end off, and then the same thing with the mono tag end. I like to leave a little bit sticking out. Just like that. But then I like to melt this end into a little bit of a ball on this tag end. Now it's windy. I may have to like hide for a second to get this done because I don't like that flame flickering around. No, I had a little bit of a break there. All right, so I don't know if you can see it very well or not, but there's a little ball of monofilament on the end here now. And if that knot slips at all, which I've not had one do, but if it slips at all, that knot, that little knobby on there now that you just melted, hopefully will stop anything. If it starts to slide, it ain't gonna slide very easily, I can tell you. I just put a whole bunch of pressure on that to get it to tighten up. You have to pull it real hard to get that thing to tighten up. So that's that part of it there. I already on the other end, just to make it nice and easy, I already took my crimp. This is a 1-3 because this is 150 pound. I told you that's for simplicity's sake, so you can see a little bit better. But if you notice, it's crimped in the middle and not on the ends. The reason for that is because you don't want to cut the line with any kind of burr that might possibly be on there. Then once you have that, once you're at that point, I like to take a hook, put it on a hook, and pull that nice and hard. Check and see if it slips. If it doesn't, you did it right. If it does, waste another crimp. But I also melt that in. See the ball on that one a lot better. Got a little closer there. It's blurry, but you can still see the ball on the end. Since this is a subsurface lure, I like to make this loop small. I don't like a big loop on there that's going to be dragging through the water, causing ruckus in the water. I want everything to be focused on the bait. Okay, now back to this end. So the reason for this pin, okay, this pin right here, why it's called a cheater rig is because you switch it up. This pin rig, on the other hand, you put your hook in your ballyhoo, and then you run this up through the mouth and nose of the ballyhoo. Once you have that, you can actually flex this spring. Try to get an angle to where you can see it a little bit better here. You can actually like flex this spring, and it kicks that point right here. The end of it, it kicks it out when you do that. And you just take it, put it over the ballyhoo's bill, and you start twisting it down, and that holds him into place. Now, here's where all of this comes together. So, your hook's facing down out the belly like you normally would. Your pin rig is sticking up. I will trim this in a minute, by the way. But your pin rig is sticking up in the air. Then, when you put your lure with your offset hole, you run it right up into the skirt all the way forward that you can so that it's hitting into the skirt. Now, as the skirt's dragging back, that pin rig's holding against the skirt and holding your ballyhoo straight up and down with your lure. So there you go. But now that is actually way too long, so I don't like it that long. I'm gonna cut probably about half of that off. Don't see it very well or not there, but I've got about half of that cut off of there. So there you go. That is the way to be a cheater in a fishing tournament without getting disqualified. Had I not used that rig on my last win, I do believe I would have had nothing more than a fish story. That fish inhaled that. It gut hooked on that 50-pounder, and it hit the only 30 that we had on the boat. We had 4 50s and 1 30 out, and it hit the 30. Fought that fish for an hour and a half, and it was gut hooked. So the line here was raking back and forth across that fish's teeth. It was running out to the port, and then it was running out to starboard, running out to port, running out to starboard. So you know this was going from one side of his mouth to the other. Fought that fish for an hour and a half. I cannot possibly believe that monofilament wouldn't have cut had I been using just that straight rig like is on this one. So it is an excellent, excellent deal. I love using it. If you haven't used that one, give it a try. And if you have any questions or comments about it, like I said, if you know if it's proper to go in the front side of the hook or the back side of the hook, and for the purpose, if you know that, let me know. I haven't found it to make any kind of difference for me. I've tried both ways, and it doesn't seem to change anything. So you do want to use this needle eye if you're going to use this rig. If you're using strand steel at all, if you're using any strand steel, you want to use this needle eye for sure. But yeah, feel free, leave a comment and let me know if it's front or back or whatever. And if you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. As soon as this wind calms down, we're going to start getting into a little bit more fishing. Go figure. I've been threatening to do this for years now, and I finally do, and been blown out all but 3 days in the last 3 months. So thank you for watching, and I'll put a picture up here of that dolphin and let you check him out. It was a pretty good one. 49.7 is what he weighed after we gut shot him with the gaff and bled him out. So appreciate you watching.